My name is Dr. Kip Jenkins. I'm the director of the Moscow Institute of Religion, located at 902 Deacon Avenue.
We're in receipt of your letter that you sent.
You got a letter. I won't go through the letter. I would just like to ask this question. If the Perch had built their building in 1927, got a liquor license, operated for 30 years, and then we came in 1957, built a church, measured the property distance at 293 feet, and then I came to you and said, now that we have built a church, I would like you to remove the liquor license from the Perch. I think you'd laugh me to scorn. I think you'd say, sorry, Dr. Jenkins, they've operated for 30 years with a liquor license. They had the right. You made a foolish mistake in building your church when you did. I think you'd say, they're grandfathered in. There's nothing you can do about it.
Possibly.
The truth is, the church built its building in 1927. And for 30 years, we operated as a church and a school. When the church converted that single-family dwelling into a convenience store, we had no problem with it. No problem whatsoever. But then they wanted a liquor license, and we said no. We came before the City Council in the 1960s, and we said what I'm saying to you now. We've been a church for 30 years in that location. We were 30 years before the Perch was even thought of. We should have been grandfathered in. We requested that the City Council not give the Perch the opportunity to have a liquor license. We brought, Dr. Brian Weston was the director of the Institute. He brought guests. I think he had 12, according to our history. And he presented a petition of over 800 signatures asking you not to grant a waiver to the state ordinance that does not allow an establishment to have a liquor license. You didn't grandfather us in. You ignored us. You even challenged that we were not a church and a school. We presented overwhelming evidence that we were, with members. We still have a church and a school there. I have 295 young single adults that come to that building for church. I have 150 that come to that University of Idaho students that come for a school. You have never, ever given me opportunity to even offer a compromise. How would you feel if it was your home?
Sir, I think that the ordinance in place says that you are recognized as a church and that a waiver has to be granted for anything to happen within that 300 feet, and clearly it was within 300 feet, so the decision is we have to make an exception in order for that to happen. So you are recognized as being a church and within the prescribed distance. There's not a dispute about that.
So why have we not been grandfathered in and not allowed a liquor license to exist with the Perch?
You're talking
There is
about
currently
something
not a-
that happened
there is currently
30,
not a
40
license.
years ago. I have no idea.
Okay.
If I may.
There's currently not a license.
They don't have a license?
There is no the Perch does not have a license for on-premises consumption of beer and wine. There's no requirement that you have to be more than 300 feet away to sell packaged beer and wine. So that the state law allows that.
Okay.
Unless the city
That's
attorney
correct.
contradicts me.
Then in my last minute, please let that stand. No open drinks. I can't take any more property damage. And it just is too easy access. Let the Perch specialize in restaurant and sell all the soft drinks they can, because I've never had any damage with somebody drinking too much Coca-Cola. But I have damage resulting in thousands of dollars every single year because of ease of alcohol access. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, sir. Anyone else?
Come on, Sharon. Oh, I was going to have you come up too. Good afternoon. My name is Blaine Eccles. I'm the Dean of Students at the University of Idaho, and I'm here to respectfully request that you deny this waiver request. The university feels very strong that increasing the flow of alcohol to our students is very problematic and concerning for a campus population that we grant first-year on-living to the surrounding residences that surround on all sides, with the exception of the front of the Perch. We require all first-year students to live on campus. The target population for this facility is the campus population. They've had very aggressive drink specials in the past that target our students in particular, referring to have a break from your finals studying. They sell tubs of alcohol to students, 32 ounces in mass. They've done price promotions, $2.50 for a tub of alcohol. That's very concerning. This is a campus population where the majority of our students are first year. They're under age of 21. The flow of alcohol inhibits their ability to be successful. It is not conducive to a successful learning environment for our students. National Institute for Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism indicates that the best way to help reduce alcohol use is to make it more difficult for our students. The other facilities that provide alcohol at bars and restaurants have full menus that are provided. They have parking for folks to be there. The Perch does not have that ability. It's targeting specifically those students that live in close proximity to campus, the church is nearby, and it's only going to be a recipe for disaster for an environment and a community that's already struggling with alcohol. We work very closely with the city of Moscow to educate our students and help them make responsible decision making, and I think the increase of flow of alcohol through on-premise consumption is only going to facilitate increased damage to vandalism as well as skipping classes and inhibit their ability to be successful. With me is Dr. Sharon Fritz from the Counseling and Testing Services, and we have a few other folks here too. Brian Doolin, our Director of Alcohol and Other Drug Education Programming, that would also be happy to speak to the council. Sharon?
Sharon, do you have something to add?
Well,
Sir, could you provide her with the microphone?
I've never had a problem with being heard, but I appreciate that. Certainly, I echo what Blaine said about keeping our students safe in an environment. We do have research to support that proximity, price specials, promotions, all are a factor of increasing risk for our students. We have spent a significant amount of time and money and effort in working with our students and being safe, and this goes against that. Excuse me, I can remember a couple years ago when they were able to sell beer by the glass. We'd walk by there at 10:30 in the morning, 11, and they're sitting there drinking beer. There's 20, 30 people on this small porch during finals, and that just goes contrary to the efforts that we're making. We put a lot of money as an institution in helping our students make safe choices with alcohol, and this just goes against that.
One final comment would be just an anecdotal data point that I collect. Since the start of the school year, well, actually even before then, we've had 10 transports to the hospital that I'm aware of. 8 of those have been alcohol overdose related. And we do not need to increase the propensity for students to consume alcohol on our campus. It endangers their life and the life of other folks. And I would respectfully, again, request you deny this request.
Thank you both for your comments. Anyone else who would like to speak for 3 minutes regarding this?
I'm Brian Doolin, and I'm also at the University
You
of
need to
Idaho.
get to the microphone, Brian,
Thank
thanks.
you. I just got excited. So I'm the Alcohol and Other Drug Program Coordinator at the University of Idaho. One of the fun things I get to do is do a ton of programming for our students. So we're out several nights a week doing program on harm reduction, safer drinking strategies, bystander intervention for intervening when they see problems. But I just can't do enough programming to reach all the students. We do a lot, but we also have to rely on environmental strategies. Both Dean Eccles and Dr. Fritz referenced the NIAAA report, that's the National Institute on Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse, and they published the College AIM a few years, just last year. And it's really the source, the definitive source on research for college student drinking and creating safer environments. On page 12 of that, it outlines different environmental strategies. Like I said, I can't do enough programming to reach all students, but environmental strategies are there all the time, so they're constantly paying dividends day in and day out. Two of the strategies that I think come into play here are restricting price promotions. The Perch has a history of doing pretty aggressive price promotions, as Dean Eccles had mentioned. For $5, people could get 64 ounces of beer. A person, my 200-pound man, I'd be drunk if I had two of those in 1 hour. I'd be above 0.08. For a 120-pound student, she'd be at a 0.18, near the point of blacking out. And we just don't feel that students should be able to get that drunk, that close to campus. Being intentional and actually walking some distance up to the corridor on 6th and Main is a really good zoning for having serving drinks. And so we believe that's a better location. And so restricting the alcohol price promotions is key. And the second one is limiting alcohol density. The more bars and taverns we have close to campus, the more consumption there is, the more alcohol-related harm there is. And so in the booklet, those two strategies are mentioned. There's citations and tons of research available if you want to study it more. But I just ask you to take that into consideration when making that decision. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. All right. What do you think, John, at this
Well,
juncture, after hearing everyone's comments?
The thing that,
John, may I say something?
If you need to would like to speak, come up to the microphone, please.
I agree with what they're saying. There is way too much alcohol being consumed. However, keep this in mind, the underage drinkers are in the dorms. The 21-year-olds are buying the stuff and they're taking it into the dorms. The underage drinkers are not in the Perch. And as far as the consumption on the balconies and all that stuff, that could be stopped very easily if that is the problem. You have a meal, you have a couple of drinks, and out you go. That's the idea. The person that insulted the church, which I apologize profusely, is no longer around. Last I heard, well, he was either in Los Angeles or he's in India somewhere. He's gone. And he's the one who was promoting all that silly stuff. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm about. All this kind of got out of my hands when I was transferred to the coast. Now I am back here, and I've got my hands on the whole thing, on the whole establishment. When I was operating, John, did we have trouble?
no.
No.
To clarify, I spent 30 years working for beer distributorships. So during that period of time, before I retired, I spent a large amount of time every week in the Perch, as I did in lots of other businesses in the 5-county area. So
As far as vandalism go, just a few months ago, they busted into one of my apartment units, kicked the front door in, kicked all the 3-bedroom doors in, stole the computers and the TVs. So the vandalism is there, and it's not caused by the Perch. So you just have to be reasonable about the whole thing. And that's what I'm asking for.
To be clear, you're not operating the Perch.
I'm not operating a Perch, but I'm here every other week. And Farouk is doing a fantastic job. And I talk to her all the time, and if there's a problem, I fly down here. It'll be a lot quicker as soon as they finish the highway.
Thank you, sir.
getting back to your question to me, I've noticed that we've had 3 speakers essentially, and they have all mentioned money. And I don't think this discussion should be about money. I don't think the amount that Mr. Lockteff has to pay or doesn't get paid, the amount that the church has to pay in fixing stuff, or the amount that the university has to pay in trying to educate people one way or another.
To me, that's not the issue. Those are things that either should or shouldn't be done out of the purview of the city council. My issue is the 300-foot cutoff. And if you're within 300 feet, I'm sorry, I can't vote for it. Not for any other reason. Like I said, I spent 30 years working in the beer and wine industry. And so my reason for not voting for this has nothing to do with the other reasons. It is simply because the state has given us a drop-dead distance of 300 feet. The Perch is within 300 feet. The new owner has to operate under the old laws. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay. Gina?
I hear both sides, and I commiserate with both standpoints. I too, however, look at this as a black and white topic. This is distance, 300 feet or more. And right now, I too cannot support a waiver for that reason alone.
Thank you. This is the second time that I've been through this discussion, and I've heard a lot of the same people myself, and I've made myself a customer at the Perch from time to time to see how things have progressed, and I really haven't seen any progress that it's becoming a restaurant where it's becoming a place where people go to eat and then have an occasional beer. I think it's still trying to be a bar in a zone where it's not allowed, and for that reason, I'm going to have to say that I'm going to have to oppose the exception to the rule as well. So I guess since all of us are of like mind on that, I think we're going to have to say we're not going to forward this to council, and I would still say see what you can do about making the place a restaurant, and if it becomes that, bring it back to us. We'll certainly consider it again, but at this time I think things have not changed enough to make me want to change my way of thinking on it.
My name is Farooq, and I'm running the Perch, and I'm there every day. And the people come and they wanted to sit down and eat and have a drink. And the only reason they don't sit down and eat because they cannot drink. That's the only reason. But I'm doing very good on the food side, and it's becoming a very good restaurant and very famous food. But the only reason the people don't sit here just because they cannot drink. Or if you can allow just the drink with the food, if you consider that, so I don't know. Because the only reason first, as soon as they walk in, they ask me that if we can drink it here. I say no, so they just left. They go to the downtown and all those places, and the kids, and they go far, far away just to drink. Nothing stopped the kids from drinking. They're still having fun, they're still doing it, but they just want it to be close to home so they can walk safely. That's all they want. But the only reason the people don't sit here, because they cannot drink here with the food. Otherwise, the food is doing really good. It's like more than 50% doing the food, a very famous food, everybody enjoying it. And that's the only reason it doesn't seem like a restaurant, because they cannot drink with the food.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to consider that or not. Thank you.
Well, it would seem to me that there are a number of restaurants that serve a lot of food that don't have any alcohol, and they seem to be able to exist as a restaurant independently of that. And I think if you got to that point where you were that sort of establishment, then we would be more likely to consider that. But right now, that's not the way I see it. So,
Okay, so the committee's decision is not to forward this on to council for reconsideration.
that's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.